Good morning, guys. Good morning, ma'am. So, ang na-assign sa amin na topic is DA Administrative Order number 26, Series of 2005, Revised Rules, Regulations, and Standards governing the importation of meat and meat products into the Philippines. So, before ko mag-proceed sa Section 1, which is definition of terms, na ay gamayng background about aning revised rules. So, ang mad cow disease, nag-spread siya across continents from Europe to Asia and now in North America. So, possible ang iyang transmission to human beings due to entry of contaminated meat and meat products. So, tungod sa daghan nag-violate sa laws o rules ug tungod sa entry sa mga illegal na meat products, dako kayo siya na threat sa human ug animal health. So, para ma-solve siya na problem, ang government nag-issue og comprehensive set of rules aron ma-secure ang safety. So, si Domingo F. Panganiban, Secretary of Department of Agriculture, DA, issue this administrative order governing the importation of meat and meat products into the Philippines. So, mao to siya ang background about sa aning revised rules para sa importation of meat and meat products into the Philippines.
So, Section 1, Definition of Terms. Accreditation refers to the authority of DA to evaluate firms and establishments based on a set of criteria with the objective of providing eligibility to conduct, undertake specified activities. So, accreditation, ang authority siya na evaluate niya mga establishment. Naapod siya criteria na gi-base aron ma-secure ang safety. Accredited importer refers to any natural or juridical person accredited by DA as eligible importer of meat and or meat products for its own use, processing, wholesale, and or retail distribution. Codex Alimentarius Commission. Codex refers to the international organization recognized by the World Trade Organization as the responsible body for establishing food standards, codes of practice, guidelines, and recommendations aimed at protecting consumer health and ensuring fair food trade practices. So, ang Codex, organization siya aron ma-protect ang food, mga meat products, ug ma-secure siya na safe siya. Country of origin refers to the country source of meat and or meat products being exported. So, importante po din siya pag mga imported na mga products, kailangan ang country of origin aron mahibal at claim. Refers to any representation which states, suggests, or imply that a product has a particular qualities relating to its origin, nutritional properties, nature, processing, composition, or any other quality. So, ang claim nagrepresent siya sa kung asa na siya gikan, unsa na siya na products, say origin, unsa mga properties ana. Date of minimum durability, best before, refers to the earliest date under specified conditions beyond which a product is no longer marketable and cannot meet the quality required by DA. So, if ang product maabot na siya sa iyang minimum of durability, dili na siya pwede mabaligya tungod kay wala na niya na-meet ang quality na required sa DA. Foreign Meat Establishment, FME, refers to a DA-accredited facility in a foreign country engaged in slaughtering and dressing of food animals and processing, cutting, packing, and storing of meat and meat products and recognized by the NVA or National Veterinary Administration to export meat and meat products. So, ang foreign meat establishment is kung na gid siya murag nasaligan na siya sa DA na siya ang mag-slaughter ug mag-dressing sa food o food animals ug mag-process kay murag na-secure na gid na ang kuan ba kana murag siya na ang giatasan kibali para ma-secure ang mga meat products o tested na pud siya. FME in good standing refers to a DA accredited FME which has established its credibility as sound exporter, supplier, or a specific meat or meat product. So FM in good standing is kanang nag-tested na pud ang iyahang kuan na siya maayo ang kuan kanang tagaan ay service og sa iyahang meat product. Importer in good standing refers to a consigned whose accreditation as a legitimate importer of meat and or meat products into the Philippines. So, importer in good standing kay kanang kuan na siya kanang murag kun kanang gisaligan og tested na maayo ang service na gihatag o inana. International Veterinary Certificate (IVC) refers to the certificate issued by the NVA at the country of origin attesting that, among others, the shipment conforms to the specific veterinary SPS requirements of the Philippines. So, ang IVC, gi-issue siya sa National Veterinary Administration para kibali murag nagpamatuod siya ba na aron nakani siya na nag-comply siya sa mga requirements o secure ang iyahang product na. Lot identification refers to the name and identification firm, number of the plant, factory, and the serial number, the specified quantity of commodity produced from this plant factory that is essentially subjected to the same productions, conditions, and the specified time frame. So, kinahanglan ang lot identification para dali lang nimo siya ma-identify. For example is karon kani siya na product karon siya gihimo tapos ang kaning isa sa ibalik kagahapon. So, tungod sa lot identification, marag easy na lang ang pag-identify sa ilaha. Dili na pod maglisod. Meat refers to the fresh, chilled, or frozen edible part of carcass. Meat product refers to meat which has been subjected to physical change and or treatment such as cooking, drying, salting, brining, or smoking. National Veterinary Administration (NVA) refers to the National Veterinary Controlling Authority having jurisdiction over the whole country for implementing the animal health measures. So, ang NVA, siya ang na-assign sa kanang pag-secure sa animal health aron maprotektahan ang atoang meat o makaproduce good meat products. New Product Supplier (NPS) refers to the DA accredited FME which is yet to establish its credibility as safe, sound supplier, exporter of a specific meat or meat product into the Philippines as required. Office International des Epizotis (OIE) refers to the international organization recognized by the World Trade Organization as the responsible body for establishing the animal veterinary health standards, guidelines, and recommendations. So, ang OIE, siya ang nag-set sa mga health standards na gikinahanglan sa atuang animals. One shipment per VQC policy refers to the one-time validity and use of the VQC of imported meat and of meat products boarded
loaded only to one vessel or aircraft. A used VQC shall be marked stamp used to avoid recycling. Port of entry, as defined under the Customs and Tariff Code and the Bureau of Customs (BOC). Port of inspection, an establishment authorized or designated by NMIS within a certain kilometer radius from the port of entry wherein inspection and collection of samples are being conducted prior to its release for domestic distribution. So gikinahanglan pud siya aron ma-secure ang quality sa meat o meat. Risk Management Measures Policy RMP refers to the overall risk management measures being applied by DA based on OIE and Codex standards, which are deemed necessarily to achieve the country's appropriate acceptable level of protection. So, ang RMP is gisecure po niya na ma-achieve ang level of protection ug ma-avoid ang risks para sa meat products. Sanitary and phytosanitary SPS measures, defined as measures applied to protect human or animal life from risks arising from additives, contaminants, toxins, or disease-causing organisms in their food. So, ang SPS, gisecure niya na tama ra ang amount sa additives, contaminants, toxins, or disease-causing organisms in food para maprotektahan pod ang mga consumer sa meat. Veterinary Quarantine Clearance (VQC SPS clearance) refers to the document being issued by the Bureau of Animal Industry (BAI) prior to importation, indicating that based on readily available information. Veterinary Quarantine and Meat Inspection and Laboratory Certificate refers to the certificate issued by the BAI Veterinary Quarantine Officer (DAVQO) and the National Meat Inspection Service (NMIS) Inspector to the BOC, copy furnished BAI and the importer for customs processing, which certifies that the shipment of meat and or meat products have been subjected to and passed veterinary quarantine documentation and meat inspection and or laboratory analysis and clearance. So ma-obtain nimo ni siya na certificate pag ma-comply or ma-pass nimo siya ang mga requirements sa naginahanglan. Section 2 Scope A. Only meat and or meat products referred to in Annex A as defined in Section 1 M and N are covered by this order. So ang gimin din na M og N kay katong naa sa definition of terms katong meat og meat products. B. All importations of meat and or meat products into the Philippines destined to be unloaded into the customs territories for direct consumption, repacking and relabeling, rebranding, processing and manufacturing, marketing, and distribution and or re-export are covered by this order. So ang kanang gipang import na mga products, so undergo na din siya repacking ug relabeling, so under siya ani na order. C. Transship meat and or meat products into the Philippines are not covered by this order. Section 3. Application for an issuance of VQS SPS clearance. A. Prior to the importation of meat and meat or products from the country of origin, an accredited importer as defined in Section 1B shall first secure a VQC SPS clearance from BAI. This provision shall be subjected to review and modification by the DA depending on the compliance performance of importers and FMEs. B. The accredited importer applicant shall: Number 1. Submit a duly accomplished application form to import indicating and certifying the nature of the import implication and the disclosure that the meat and or meat products are still at the country of origin and have been boarded yet to a vessel aircraft. Number 2. Submit the relevant pro forma invoice. And number 3. Pay the necessary application fees to BAI. BAI, in consultation with NMIS as appropriate, shall issue VQC upon determination of the following: the absence of relevant disease,
pests and or contaminations at the relevant area, region, country of origin, and form which live animals are being domesticated. So, important yun na dapat ang walay diseases or mga contaminations ang naa sa meat. The FMA is in good standing. So, ang gimin sa FMA is kato ni siyang exporter. The accredited importer is in good standing. The appropriate and specific risk management conditions relevant to the importation of specific meat and or meat products are based on OIE and Codex and other factors necessary and pertinent to SPS concerns. BAI shall approve and disapprove the application if application within 5 working days from the of complete application documents contains seal and the signature of the BAI director. So, dapat ang certificate naka-indicate ang signature sa BAI director. Upon the issuance of VQC, the accredited importer shall immediately provide the exporter with a copy. So, ang importer, siya na ang mag-provide sa copy sa VQC na certificate sa exporter. The VQC is valid for 60 days without extension from the date of issuance within which meat and or meat products are to be shipped out from the country of origin as indicated in the bill of lading or airway bill. So, ang VQC, valid lang siya within 60 days or 2 months. A VQC is not transferable and therefore, only the president, CEO, general manager of the importing firm and its authorized representatives are allowed to receive the approved VQC. One shipment bill of lading for VQC policy as defined in Section 1 shall be strictly adhered to in the conduct of importation, such as a VQC can only be used relative to the shipment described therein. So, ang VQC from kuha na gid siya, valid lang siya one shipment, dili na siya pwede i-transfer sa lahi. No VQC shall be issued after the shipment has left the port of origin, and any misrepresentation of such fact shall render the VQC invalid and the importation illegal and subject to Section 10 hereof. This is the end of my presentation, and the remaining topics will be discussed by my group mates. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. So now, let's discuss more in addition to the last reporter's report. Section 4. Personal and non-commercial importation. Importation of fresh, frozen, and uncooked meat products for personal and non-commercial consumption shall not be allowed unless covered by a valid VQC, veterinary quarantine clearance, and IVC, International Veterinary Certificate. Veterinary quarantine clearance will be given when a product is free from any contaminations. It is non-transferable, so it may only be used by the person to whom it was given, and it's only good for 60 days without extension. As a result, veterinary quarantine clearance and international veterinary certificate are critical in the importation of meat products. Section 5. General requirements and conditions. Only foreign meat establishments defined in Section 1, H and I, recognized by the National Veterinary Administration of the exporting country, are allowed to export into the Philippines. Recognition extended by the local, provincial, and regional veterinary administrations or authorities at the country of origin is not recognized by the Department of Agriculture. Second, only accredited importers as defined in Section 1B are allowed to file an application for veterinary quarantine clearance for the importation of meat and meat products and to import from foreign meat establishments. Third, the accredited importer shall ensure that its exporter at the country of origin has received a copy, that is electronic copy, facsimile, of the approved veterinary quarantine clearance or SPS clearance prior to the boarding of meat and meat products to the Philippines. Fourth, the accredited importer shall ensure that the date of shipment of goods as reflected in the bill of lading or airway bill is not earlier than the date of the issuance of veterinary quarantine clearance. Fifth, the seal of the container of imported meat and or meat products must be maintained throughout the chain of importation. The fact that an imported meat or meat product is transshipped or made to pass through other ports other than the original port of origin before arriving in the Philippines shall not invalidate the veterinary quarantine clearance and international veterinary certificate unless the original seal has been broken. Section 6. Additional measure, temporary import ban, and resumption of trade. During emergency situations, Department of Agriculture shall exercise its authority and powers under existing laws in the timely imposition of a temporary import ban on the importation of relevant meat and meat products from relevant areas, regions, countries to ensure human and animal health or life are secured and protected. In the promulgation of an import ban, Department of Agriculture shall, first, suspend the issuance of veterinary quarantine clearance for relevant applications. Second, cancel or revoke all relevant veterinary quarantine clearances issued. Third, suspend all relevant shipments. And fourth, confiscate all relevant shipments and dispose these shipments in accordance with Section 10. Let's have a quick look at Section 10, which states that imported meat and meat products that do not have veterinary quarantine clearance would be denied admissions or entry. B. Emergency cases or situations include the following. First, outbreak of any relevant Office International this episode is notifiable disease. Second, danger or occurrence of contamination, for example, dioxin contamination. And third, other cases important to public health and safety as determined by Department of Agriculture. C. In the imposition of any import ban, Department of Agriculture shall consider the following. First, the recommendation of Office International this episodis, World Health Organization or WHO, and Codex. Second, the risk management and communication measures undertaken by the exporting government are not sufficient as may be determined through readily available information. Third, the importance as to the presence in the source country or part of the country relevant diseases, contaminations, and the cases important to public health and safety. Fourth, the results of any risk assessment undertaken by Department of Agriculture based on readily available information. And fifth, other circumstances which warrant the imposition of a ban. D. The temporary import ban shall be lifted based on the following considerations. First, the recommendations of OIE or Office International this episodis, WHO or World Health Organization, and Codex. Second, the risk management and communication measures undertaken by the exporting government are already sufficient. Third, the results of any risk assessment undertaken by Department of Agriculture based on readily available information. And fourth, other considerations that warrant the resumption of importation. E. In cases of emergency situations referred to in Section 6b, which do not necessarily require immediate banning of meat products, Department of Agriculture may institute extra or additional measures apart from the regular measures, standards, and requirements necessary to ensure the safety and wholesomeness of any meat products that may be imported from the relevant area where such emergency cases occur. Section 7. Packing and labeling requirements. The packing materials and containers in direct contact with the meat and meat products must be of food grade quality based on the standards set by Codex or equivalent standards as may be determined by Department of Agriculture. Second, All wood packaging materials of imported meat or meat products shall be treated in accordance with international standards on phytosanitary measures number 15. Third, all food additives or preservatives shall be declared in the label as appropriate. Measure of packaging must meet the minimum labeling requirements as follows. First, registered trade name of the exporter or brand name of the product. Second, business name and address of the exporter. Third, country of origin. Fourth, lot identification. Fifth, product description and list of ingredients. Sixth, net quantity of contents in terms of weight, measure or numerical count rounded to the nearest tenth, expressed in metric system. 7. Date of manufacture and packaging. 8. Date of minimum durability, best before or expiration date, and 9. Handling and storage instruction. Lastly, the label on each box or packaging of the imported meat and meat products must be written in English or Filipino, and each character of the text should not be less than 2.5 mm for pre-printed or stamped, and 5 mm for hand-painted. It is important to be written in English or Filipino so that we can fully comprehend the labels on each package. These are critical in ensuring that importers' shipments are accredited in order for the meat to meet the required standards. That's all, and thank you for listening.
E-commerce is the buying and selling of goods and services. I believe that selling through an e-commerce platform benefits farmers, but I believe that government regulations are not farmer-friendly, making it difficult for farmers to find an easy way to sell their products directly to end customers through an e-commerce platform. Controlling authority, the power of a person or an organized assemblage of persons to manage, direct, superintend, restrict, regulate, govern, administer or oversee. All controlling authorities involved in meat inspection work must be recognized as public health workers, and they are entitled to all benefits and emoluments due to a public health worker, because they are responsible for promoting and protecting public health through the implementation of an effective meat inspection service. The National Meat Inspection Service, NMIS, is in charge of ensuring and enforcing humane slaughter and hygienic standards in meat establishments. An authorized inspector conducts a systematic ante-mortem inspection before food animals are slaughtered, as required by NMIS. The National Meat Inspection Service, NMIS, is in charge of ensuring and enforcing humane slaughter and hygienic standards in meat establishments. An authorized inspector conducts a systematic ante-mortem inspection before food animals are slaughtered, as required by NMIS. Anatomical or physiological abnormalities, as well as objective or subjective disease manifestations, not classified as a disease or syndrome, an abnormality in an organ, tissue, or cell. A cell pathological abnormality can be divided into several subtypes. This is a cancerous abnormality. Benign abnormality is a term used to describe a non-harmful condition.
Section 12 Penalty Provision. Breaching a contract as will be penalized. Also, the contract will be received by the CEO or the president siya ang mudawat for them to know kung unsa ang sulod sa contract, so that they need to accept the contract in order for them not to having a problem on breaching. Also, to avoid penalties. If they will be penalized and they didn't participate, they will be criminally liable under the anti-graft law and other law that indicates there. Also, in penalty provision, they can do the non-compliance with agreed contract so that they cannot be penalized by breaching a contract. This is to settle kanang dili na need ang guidance sa government or sa court. They can settle it on their own. 13. Repealing clause. There are administrative order made for this case. So, what administrative order nga gihimo naa na dito tanan laws and rules nga gamiton para ani nga case. Repealing clause means tanan sabutan ng mga laws or nabuhat naa na sa order nga gibuhat accordingly. And that administrative order is Administrative Order 16 on April 2000, Administrative Order 39 on October 2000, and Administrative Order 56 on December 2000. Section 14 Separability Clause, which is kung unsa nga rules ang naa niya nga event or case kanara nga rules ang gamiton. Like ani nga case about importation of meat and meat products in the Philippines, kung unsa nga rules and laws ang maora jud ang gamiton. Section 15 Transitory Provisions. The IDA should be issuing a rules and regulations to them for having a safety shipping of the meat to the other country. Transaction between locally and foreign is nailailahi na order sundon cause limited time rasad ang gihatag sa pagtransact sa mga order.